This is Radio Jusmen.
Hello and welcome to the Jusmen Book Club. It's the month of March, and in this month we are casting our spotlight on women, intelligent women, phenomenal women. And today I have an author and a writer. She is Esther Okuru, aka Star Girl. Hi Esther.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
So, je sais que vous voulez parler français. My French is shaking now, but like, you get what I'm saying. Let's speak French. My French is like bad, but like, yes. Comment ça va?
Oui, ça va bien, oui.
Comment va le travail?
It's been a while.
Okay, so at some point in your book, you're like, oh, you were taking French lessons, and I'm like, you know what, this is a good way to show my French, apparently. But anyways, it's so good to have you here. Okay, so let me start by saying congratulations on your book.
Thank you.
How does it feel like being a celebrity now?
Well, it feels really good being like publishing my book and just seeing everything everyone has to say about it. It definitely feels amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you still go to work and do your regular job. So do your colleagues come to you and like, oh my God, Esther is so good. Like, can you help me sign your book? Can I bring my shirts? Does that happen to you?
Of course, certainly. Like 2 weeks ago, interestingly, like my table was like filled with people, and like everyone kept coming, like, oh hi, please, I want a book. Can you help me sign it? Oh hi, are you Esther? Oh hi, oh hi. And so yeah, it feels good. It feels good. Yeah. Some days I'm just like, oh my God, like, is this me? Somebody pinch me. But yeah, it certainly feels good.
Okay, so I understand that you are a lawyer in a bank. How's that? Do you like that? Because like people don't like their jobs regularly.
So far so good. It's been good. I love working in the corporate organization. So yeah, I like it.
Right. So to be honest, your book is not the first time that I've come in contact with you. I like low-key a fangirl. Actually, high-key a fangirl. And I listened to all episodes of Mileage that you were on with Katla.
Yeah.
And from time to time, a lot of times actually, I go on your Medium to read stuff.
Oh my God. Okay.
So, how did you first know that you had the gift of writing, and how did you know that this is something that I should cultivate?
Interestingly, I don't consider myself a writer. So the thing is, I mean, I've been journaling. Journaling has been a big part of who I am.
Right.
So this will be my 8th year of journaling every single day of my life in my diary, where I just talk about my day. You know, oh, I woke up, I did this, I did that. You know, I've been doing that for 8 years. But then that's different, because then you're basically just yapping about your life, you. But then coming over to a different platform to do that wasn't something I ever imagined. I think for me, it was just a particular day. That was sometime in October 2023, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. And I knew I wanted to share my story at some point in my life, but I just told myself that day, see, why are you waiting for the right time? Why don't you just talk about it? Now, why don't you just write about it? And I mean, prior to that, I was also like journaling my grief journey, you know, how I felt on particular days where it was so heavy for me. I'd write about it, you know, every day, really. And so I just brought out those notes, and I grabbed my laptop that day in October, and I just started writing on Medium. And I made my first post, second post, and now like 50 posts later. So I don't know that, I never knew I had any gift in me or anything. It was basically just as a result of what happened, and I just started penning my thoughts and just telling the world how I felt, and that was it, really.
Now I know that you like journaling, but I also know that you like traveling a lot.
Oh, yes.
So what's your favorite city to travel to, and like, why do you like that city?
I mean, based on the places I've been, I would say Vietnam. And I think just for one reason, actually two. The culture and the people. They are so nice. As in, they are probably the most friendliest people I've ever met in my life. And as a black person going into Vietnam, you're like a celebrity. You know, everyone wants to take a picture with you. Everyone is so fascinated by you, literally by your existence.
Right.
So that was really nice to see. And the culture as well. You know, the fact that like literally street foods everywhere. Like their culture is just beautiful. It's not the regular Dubai high-rise buildings, you know, all these countries that we go to, and it's just, you know, the glamour and everything. It was different. So yeah.
So like you going to Vietnam had nothing to do with like hairs, because I hear that that's how you like find beautiful and affordable hair. So it has nothing to do with hair.
No, it has nothing to do with that.
Okay, so let's now talk about the book. By the way, when I started reading this book, I didn't drop it. Okay, maybe I did like it and all, but like I started like one day and I finished it. I loved the writing, loved your storytelling and all of it. So yes, so the first question I had was when Toby in the book, if you haven't read this book, you should. I'm not going to give spoilers, okay? So when Toby in the book was courting Esther, I saw that it's something that doesn't happen so much anymore. And I'm like, when I meet Esther, I'm going to ask her, do you think that the dating culture has shifted? People are now like basically just doing the bare minimum. Do you think that that's where we are in the dating pool right now?
Certainly. Yes. Yes. I mean, before I even met him, to be honest, like that's what it was. You know, I think a lot of people are not even intentional. And I think, so people used to tell me that, oh, your standard is high. And I'm like, my standard is not high. It's basically just the little things. So as little as communication is what people see as a big deal. So maybe also how I grew up with me going out and my dad would say, oh, you need to text me and let me know that you've reached your destination. You know, when you're coming back home, you need to say, oh, hey, Dad, I'm on my way home. You need to communicate, literally. So I think I grew up with that. So when I date people, well, I've not dated a lot of people, but I think with Toby, I think that was just it. So the communication. So I think we're also two people that knew how to communicate with each other as well. So as little as, you know, hey, I'm doing this or I'm doing that, just communicate, to be honest. And I think another thing that hit it for us was I started this thing where all my calls were on speaker. I didn't have to, but I did it for a reason, to let him know that he can trust me and I have nothing to hide. And funny enough, he started doing it as well. So times where the call wouldn't be on speaker, I know that something is wrong somewhere. So we were just very open with each other. We're just very honest. We're very intentional about a lot of things. Everything, to be honest.
Basically taking mental notes. Communication and be open. Right. So another thing that I noticed before you decided to get married, so for both of you, it was from talking as friends to like just deciding to get married. And it was like a period of 1 year, so to say. I put myself in that situation. I'm like, I don't think I can be talking to, like, what are we doing for 1 year? But what was it that kept you in that situation for that 1 year?
So do you think it was long or it was short?
I think it was long.
1 year.
Like, so you just it's like basically both of you knew that you liked yourself, but like you just kept talking for 1 year. Like you didn't define your relationship. Because like you don't see that happening these days. Because even on social media, you see posts like, oh, talking stage should not be longer than 2 months. They even preach it in church too, right? So like, what was it that kept you in that situation?
So I asked Toby one day that, what are we? And interestingly, it was a day I was going to work and I heard a song on the radio. It was saying, it was a song, I don't know if it was CK that sang it, what are we? Something, I can't sing, but like, the summary of it is what are we? And I recorded it and I sent it to him. I'm like, what are we? And then he's like, we are what we are. And then I asked him, like, seriously, like, what's going on? And he said something to me. He said, have I ever made you feel like I don't want you in my life forever? And I thought about it and I'm like, he has never said it plainly, but every conversation, every action leading towards the fact that I want you. And so when he said that, I just stopped asking him questions because I also noticed that he didn't like labels. So he didn't like the whole boyfriend, girlfriend thing and, you know, wanting to tell the whole world about your relationship status. So I didn't want it to be a big deal because I knew that this was a good person. So I wouldn't want to just cut something off just because he didn't want to define it per se, the way society would define it. So I thought about it and I'm like, this person, conversations, actions, words, everything was leaning towards the fact that he wants me in his life forever. So why do I need to conform to society saying we need to define what we are? So I think that was it. Because like, I mean, they're taking me to his parents. I mean, I go to his house every single time. I mean, there are people that go to their parents' houses every time and still But yeah, I think the actions and everything pointed towards the fact that he knew what he wanted. So
Yeah, because you know why I asked that question? I remember like I've been in a similar situation before. Oh my god, I'm not talking about this. Right? So, and this was such a useless time. It was like secondary school.
Yeah.
And I remember there was this guy in my class and we're always talking and like everybody in class is like, oh, you guys are dating. Can you come? Can you come? And then one day there was a new girl who transferred from another school to my school and she was like obviously prettier. I mean, now that I think about it, not so much, but like she was prettier. And then I noticed that he was hanging out with this babe, and I was like, oh, what's going on? And then he was like, did I ask you out? Did you agree? So like since then, I've had the consciousness of you have to like we need to put a label on it. But like then I see where you're coming from also. So you guys moved from talking to getting married. How did that feel for you? Like somebody just saying, oh, let's get married and let's get married like 3 months.
I mean, because we had conversations around it.
Yeah.
So in as much as it was I think the shock for me was even when he wanted to get married, like someone coming to you in December saying, I want to get married to you in April. And you're like, yeah, I know that like conversations were leading towards that, but like, guy, April is here, or like it's literally 4 months away.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that was the shock for me. And Toby always questioned me. He would say, is there a reason why? And when you think about it, is there a reason why? Like, who said that when someone engaged, who even said that they must do engagement in the first place? And who said that if at all there's a proposal or an engagement, who said you must take a long time before you get married? Who said I can't get proposed to today and get married the next day? Like, who set those rules and standards? So I had to think about it, like when he said April, and I'm like, no, we need time. And he's like, Esther, time for what? It's me and you, and if we've agreed that this is what we want, then this is it. Literally, it threw me off balance because I'm like, no, people don't, like, that's not it. Like, it just felt like there was a rule book somewhere that said that, oh, you have to wait. But when I thought about it, I'm like, actually, who set those rules? And yeah, because both of us were in agreement with it, so we went with that as one with our parents. So we didn't go like, oh, me, I want this, and him, he wanted it. We went to our parents that this is what we want, and this is how it's going to be.
Fantastic. Great. So talking about like marriage and all, I remember like the page about, or the portion in the book about the proposal.
Yeah.
And like everything that led to the moments, to like from going to the spa to getting your makeup done. If that happened to me, I don't know how I would react. So walk me through how you felt in that moment, like everything happening. Like, tell me.
So first of all, like when he told me he wanted to get married in April, in my head I'm like, when is this guy going to propose? So the only time I knew he was going to propose, or whether I guessed he was going to propose, was in February, because I was coming into Abuja actually from Lagos to see him. So I'm like, if he will do it, then it has to be now, you know. But then I was thinking, how is it going to be? Because I also know that he wasn't the kind of person that loved the whole grand gesture, like a lot of people being there. He didn't like crowd. So I'm like, how is it going? I just couldn't. In my head, I just thought maybe we'll wake up and then I'll just see a ring on my finger. That was what I thought.
And you're fine with that?
And I was fine with that, to be honest. Like, it wasn't a problem for me. But then, like, I didn't really see, like, so everything he did down to from the book, I explained how, you know, he had an itinerary and all of that. So all of that was done, like, in January. He sent me the itinerary of when I land and every single thing. So I didn't really guess that anything was going to happen because, like, it's Toby. Toby will do all those things. He's a planner. He loves all of that. But then I think when I started to sense it was when he had left his ID card in the house and he had gone. And I'm like, Toby never does that, you know. And then he looked so stressed, and I'm like, what's going on here? And I still didn't even, it was there, but then I was like, oh, maybe not. And then we went for dinner, and the photographers had gone, and then there was no, will you marry me, balloons everywhere. I just gave up. I'm like, you know what, it may happen today, but probably when we get home, maybe he'll just pull something. So I never saw the twist coming to it. That one, I definitely didn't see it coming. I knew it was going to be that day, but the how of it was what I didn't know.
Fantastic. Okay, now moving to the proposal and what happened that night. And one thing I noticed from the book was you guys were a Christian couple.
Yeah.
So the pop I think you already know where I'm going.
I think I do.
So when I was reading the book, I was like, oh, such a cute proposal, Godwin. And then I saw the part of it was a hotel room, and you guys now woke up in the morning. I said, I thought we're doing Jesus here. What's going on? Okay, so have you ever had anybody ask you about that before? Because like I really want to know. There was no room for Jesus in the Jesus-centered relationship.
As a matter of that was one part I struggled to write, because I'm like, what if people judged me? What if people judged him? Because like you said, we're a Christian couple, and Christian couple sharing a bed, you know, like. So I struggled to write that part, but then I had to just say my truth. So yeah, like, Toby and I shared a bed all the time, but we were still a Christian couple, to be honest. Like, it is what it is.
Okay.
Literally.
It is what it is. I mean, because thinking about it, like, standards, I think that one thing that I've seen from the conversation that we've had is really who makes the rules? Who says that, you know, relationships has to be a certain way? Why does it have to be like what social media is saying? And like I really like it. And going forward, I'm just like picking from this. I'm like, okay, so I don't need to do this.
And I think also is discipline. I mean, I knew that Toby and I that was like a lot of temptation, but one thing I knew about both of us, that we're very, very disciplined as well, like super disciplined. So it wasn't really a problem for us. Sharing a bed wasn't a problem for us because we were very disciplined. I mean, as a Christian, should you be doing that? Because like that's a lot of temptation for you. You're basically just there. But that's just who we were.
Okay, now moving to, so I dread talking about this part because like I was just like, this love story is going beautifully well.
Yeah.
Like, not every day you find somebody who treats you well, because like people, I don't want to say men these days for they come for me, but like people these days don't do the work here. Like relationships, and I'm like, so you experience all of that, and you said that before, Toby, like you met people who served you breakfast and all of that. So now I'm like, you went through all of this, and then it happened, and then you got married to the love of your life, and then 5 weeks later, it ended. Can you? Because this is hard to, even for me, it's hard to talk about.
Yeah.
But like, in that moment, how did you feel? Like, what were the thoughts that were going through your head when you found out that, oh my God, like forever ends now?
I think for the longest time, it felt like a joke. It just didn't feel real. Like, maybe. To be honest, like I thought God was actually trying to pull a stunt. Like he wanted to pull another Lazarus on Toby, like when we're in church, you know, he would just rise for the longest of time. That's what I thought. So when it happened, like literally my world stopped. Like nothing, absolutely nothing made sense again. And like I said, I just felt like God was trying to do something, because it just wasn't possible. It can't be real now. People just don't go out and not come back, because you know how you say you go out and come, like, God, thank you for going out and coming in. Like literally this person went out and did not come back home. You know, the person went to work, came back, changed, stepped out, and never came back again. Like it just didn't make sense to me at all. So for the longest of time, I just felt like God was actually just trying to do something, like do a miracle. Also because like Toby was the son, now someone I want to be an evangelist, so he was trying to just start his ministry with Toby, where he'll raise him back to life, and then, you know, people will now come to Christ because of that. That was what I thought for the longest time, until when they were about to lower him to the grave. And I'm like, no, I told them to wait. I told them that please, you should wait. And I went back to the ambulance to where he was. And I'm like, God, it's time. Oh. Like, they're about to lower him to the grave. And I was like, Toby, you need to stand up now. And that was when it hit me that this was it. And then that was when I just ran off. Like, I didn't even finish whatever they were doing there. I didn't know, and I didn't care. And that was when I just ran back to the car. And that was when it hit me that, you know, it was real.
Wow. Okay, so moving away a little bit to talk about, because I know in that period, like we're gonna have like a lot of people around you, and in Africa, let's not even lie, some people who come to sympathize with us, sometimes I'm just like, if I deck you, like, you're supposed to be making me feel better.
Yep.
And so did you get any of those?
A whole lot, like a lot of silly comments, a lot of people that probably didn't even know what to say. I ended up saying nonsense. But I think in all of it, I just learned that people, they love you, they want to be there for you. They just don't know what to say. They just don't know how to express themselves. So in as much as it was annoying to me that I was mourning my husband, I had to understand that. I mean, I didn't understand for the longest of time. I'm not going to lie to you, but along the lines, I had to understand that, you know, these people love you, but they just don't know what to say. It's their own way of expressing whatever they feel, you know. So yeah, so there were a lot of that, like a whole lot. I will start to talk now, we won't finish, but a whole lot of comments surrounding, you know, this is how you're supposed to be acting, this is what you shouldn't be doing, you know, rules here and there of how you should behave and how you should feel and all of that. But like I said, it was just their own way too of trying to sympathize or empathize with you as well.
Do you think that as a people we need to have conversations where, actually, because like I feel like it's the older people who do not know the right things to say in this situation, do you think that we should begin to have conversations about how people should act when they're trying to sympathize with people?
Interestingly, I think it's even the younger people.
Oh.
The younger people, in the sense that a lot of young people disappear. They don't. The older people will always acknowledge your pain. If you notice, our parents' generation, like most of our moms or our dads, they're always going for this person's burial, this person's wedding. You know, they know how to form and keep relationships. But for us, it's a lot of disappearance tied to the fact that I am going through a lot. Our parents, they don't really say that they are going through a lot, but they don't necessarily say it. But for us, you know, people just zone out, people don't acknowledge your pain. We do what we want to do because, me too, I was going through a lot. You know, I had someone reach out to me, and she was like, you haven't been picking my call. I'm like, does this girl even, I mean, she knew. And she's like, oh yeah, even me too, I lost my uncle. So I was just like, so to be honest, I think for me, it was mostly our generations. There are a lot of people that did not acknowledge my pain. Even now, there are people that know what happened. They just talk to you normally, and I find it very disrespectful. You know, the older generation, they were very much present in my pain. They probably would not have the right words to say, but they would say something to you, and they will acknowledge. Even if you're sorry, they will let you know. But for us, I got a lot of I'm going through a lot. I got a lot of people just not saying anything even, but they knew. I had someone 3 weeks ago who reached out to me. She said she knew when it happened, but that she came to apologize later, and it's almost 2 years. And she's like, oh, she knew when it happened actually, but that she just did not know what to say. And so it's now that she's coming. I'm not gonna lie, I was angry that like you even knew, like you knew when this thing happened in 2023. You never said a word to me. Somehow you're coming in 2025 to let me know. I mean, it's fine, I forgive her. I'm like, it's okay, you know, and all that. But I think I got that whole people not knowing how to deal with it from our generation than the older generation.
So basically, it's us who gotta do better.
Yes.
Okay, so but do you feel like, especially because we said this like 1,000 times in this conversation, that the standards and like people don't really put themselves into relationships. So do you think that at some point you're going to fall in love again and find?
Of course. I think I said that in my book that I can't remember the exact words, but yeah, completely love sex is what I'm meant to do. I don't think I'm the kind of person that when something happens to them, they dwell on it and they make that a part of who they are. You know, you just keep dwelling on it. It's a bit draining, to be honest. Like, this has happened. I think one thing with me is what I did was, there's no formula to grief, but one thing I did is I owned my pain. I owned my grief. I internalized it, made it a part of who I am and who I was. And yeah, I'm moving forward with it, and that's why I don't use move on, because maybe it's just me playing with words, but I see moving on as you moving away from that thing and just moving on to something else. But when you say moving forward, it's like you make that pain a part of who you are and you move forward with it. And I think that that's something, like I said, there's no formula or there's no way to gauge or to, you know, rate it. But I think I've done a good job with, like I said, owning my pain and my grief I'm moving with it, to be honest. I mean, like, am I going to struggle? Of course, I'm going to struggle, because if you read my book, you're the kind of person that I met and I married. So, yeah, I would struggle with one or two things, but yeah, I think I just have to be open-minded, and God just has to help me, to be honest. But yeah, definitely something that I'm open to. I've had a number of talking stages after he died, but they just didn't click it for me. Like, it didn't tick it for me, not because of him, but even because of my own standards as well, to be honest, and they just did not take it.
Right. So I know that you had like a very fantastic relationship with his parents. So how's it like after?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, they've been part of, helping me to also move with my grief as well. Like, they've literally been a major part of my story and everything. I have such a beautiful relationship with them, because I also think, because before Toby and I got married, they were my friends. So it's like, now it's not tied to the fact that these were Toby's parents. It's more of like they were actually my friends. So I would come to the house and we would have conversations, we would gist and all that, we would go out. So it's more of like them still being my friends, but their son is just no more, unfortunately. But yeah, our relationship is still very solid. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This was such a great conversation. Thank you for, first of all, for the book.
Thank you.
For having a conversation with me. Thank you so much for dropping by.
Thank you for having me.
If you haven't read this book, I mean, I read this book and I just told myself, there's love out there for me. I mean, the numbers may not be adding up, but I know there's one person who's gonna love me and love me, right? Sure. So yeah, read this book. So it's called What Love Left Unfinished by Esther Okuru. Find it and read it. Okay. That's it for today. This is the Jusmen Book Club, and next time we will be reviewing another book and hopefully have the author sit in our chair. For now, it's bye.